So
No.
maybe I'll do it just to torture John.
The mics are live.
Who do you have in your Final Four, Penn?
Cincinnati.
Okay.
Is that one?
Yeah, they have a college. There's 64 teams in, so you probably have a better chance than guessing NFL.
Cincinnati, St. Paul.
I don't know if this is St. Paul.
Just go animals, because they use a lot of the same animals. I got the
Okay.
Bears, the Jaguars, the Cougars, and the
Cougars, I think.
the dogs.
And the snails.
Brothers and sisters, welcome to Penn's Sunday School, starring Penn Jillette. My name is Michael Godot, and along with Matt Donnelly, we are broadcasting from the Show Creator Studios in Las Vegas. The Mike Jones Penn Jillette Jazz CD is out, and we've got the reviews from Greece and Japan right here. Fool Us is wrapped for another year. Godot with the Taiwan and Penn's vocal coaches here in studio to keep an eye on the goose that laid the golden egg. Here's the goose right now, preaching love, Mr. Penn Jillette.
Honk, honk. Preaching love. Preaching love. Right here, honk, honk. Listen, smarty pants communist.
Yes.
You were
How'd you know he
making
was
fun
talking
of
to
me for knowing nothing about basketball.
Yes.
I know that a team that wasn't supposed to win did win. It's the first time in history.
Look out, everybody.
It was a big upset. Number 16 went against number 1 and won.
Yes.
And it was Virginia.
Who lost?
Who lost? That's exactly. Virginia who lost.
This is a cold reading.
For those of you, we'll let you in. Sometimes I like to ask Penn about sports right before we go on air.
And the one who won was New Hampshire. But it's a big deal, right?
Maryland, Baltimore County. Yeah. Huge deal.
Huge deal.
Not only did this team was a 16 seed, they won like.
What does the word seed mean?
Okay, so they rank 64 teams get into the tournament at the same time.
Okay.
And then they divide that into 4 regions. So the 4 top teams get number 1 seeds. And the
Okay.
bottom 4 seeds get 16 seeds. Does that make sense?
No.
So far?
Go on.
Okay. So 4 different tournaments of 1 through 16 happened
Okay.
to make the Final Four.
Okay.
But Virginia was the number one.
Uh-huh.
And UMBC was the 16-16. I mean, it was like the lowest seed. So it was the 1 versus 64. And they showed no signs. Normally if there's an upset, it's like, oh, well, this guy's been injured all year, but he came back and they got their best player back or something like that. No, not the case here. These guys showed no signs of being a great basketball team. None. They won. They had one of the worst records. They won by getting an automatic bid by winning their conference tournament on a last-second shot, but beating a team that they previously lost to by 18 points. They just stunk. And then they came in and crushed. It wasn't like an upset. They destroyed them by 20 points. It was just like a weird thing. It was like if you wrote this in a basketball movie, people would be like, no.
And the good
Who
team,
cares?
The good team didn't do anything wrong?
No, they just were slow. They just did not. They just decided to slow it
Do
down.
we suspect drugs?
yeah, exactly. I don't know if they just
So in the locker room, he said, I know we're last. No one thinks we're going to win, but we are going to. And they went, yeah. Then they went out and did it.
Everybody wants to know what this guy said. I mean, you'd say it to every company in the world.
Sure. He said magic stuff.
Yeah. It never happened since they expanded 64. So 135 times this matchup has happened with nothing happening like this. So 135-0, and now 135-1 are number 1 seeds in this.
Were they?
Those losers feel good, don't they?
Oh my gosh.
Were they happy?
They're like, we've had better. We had a really close game against Albany, but yeah, I guess we'll take this.
Has the winning team played their second game yet?
It's happening today.
Okay, so
Yeah, that was the impetus of my question to Penn. Is I opened up ESPN to see if it had started playing yet.
And
By the time you hear this, yes, they have.
but that locker room talk with the winning team
Yeah.
was unpleasant, I bet.
The team that lost, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, don't worry, guys. You're only going to be reminded of this every year. Don't worry, guys. They're only going to bring this up every time a number 1 seed kicks off the tournament. They're only going to bring this up every time.
you're going to go down in history.
Yeah. And
Now,
that coach, too,
And way down in
that coach will
history.
move on. They'll be like, oh, you coached at Virginia? Yeah. When? Like that's going to happen. That's going to happen the rest of his life.
Now, does it where does that put them now? Have they lost?
They're
now?
done. Yeah, they're just done. They're done playing
They
basketball.
go home.
They go home.
They go home.
Yeah.
There's not another. There's not another chance.
Nope.
They go home.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's good.
Yeah. They get time off. Yeah.
That's good. That's where I would see it.
Yeah.
They don't have to go to every game for the rest of the tournament and sit there.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're like the 10th through 12th guy on the bench, I think you're kind of like good. Yeah, it stinks, but I don't want to practice anymore, and I can go away.
Got to catch up on the math grades. You're going
We were
to come
supposed to go to the Final Four, so I've dedicated a week to this, and now I have a week free.
Yeah. I'll binge
go
watch The
kiteboarding.
Wire again.
Yeah.
Two different ways.
Yeah, he's going to binge watch The Wire. I'm going kiteboarding.
Two different ways we see the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good for them, I guess. Do people mostly cheer for that? I guess they do.
They do, yeah.
The underdog winning is a big, big deal.
It is, yeah, and it's just that's the whole tournament set up for us, people to just watch teams that have never faced each other, hopefully.
And
crazy.
with all this billions of dollars of revenue,
Yeah.
the players get nothing, right?
$0.
But they slip them stuff.
Right, and that's the way that we like it. Like, we don't want to mess with that system. We agree. Like, we keep catching different programs every couple of years for cheating, and we go like, oh, shame on them. And this has been happening for decades, and yet we don't understand that, like, this just is going to keep happening. Like, we don't want to come up with another way to figure it out except for going, like, shame.
They give them cars.
Yeah. Usually it's relatives get, like, cars and...
Relatives get cars.
Yeah. That's the way to keep it, like, on as clean and indetectable.
So what you want to be is a relative of
Yeah,
somebody.
the brother-in-law, one of these guys.
Yeah. I mean, I had a cousin who played for Arizona when they went to the Final Four back in the day, and yeah, you want to be a relative of.
You still driving that pickup?
We got a bunch of sneakers in our household. It was nice.
Yeah. And then, most of these guys go on to play professionally?
No, especially not the 16th seed. None of those guys are going on to play professionally.
Okay.
So yeah, Virginia probably had a couple of guys that might go pro.
But here's the thing. Because these are people that go to college just to play basketball. I mean, is there any chance that a very, very talented basketball player is at a school that doesn't have a big basketball program because they're interested in, like, bioengineering or something?
Yes, it is possible. No, the majority, I mean, only 1% of the athletes get to go on to the pros, but they get a lot of attention for that. It's unusual nowadays for a player because there's so much money now when you're, even as a rookie, if you can be drafted for you to stay in college. But there's a guy on Duke, Grayson Allen, who is talented enough to go to the pros, and he stayed through his senior year. It's unusual, but he's one of the guys doing it.
He's actually studying something?
Yeah, he's actually studying something. And there are a few stories of guys going back and finishing the degree after they graduate, after they finish their MBA career, they go back and get their degree and stuff. Mm-hmm. But that's not the majority of pro athletes, no.
But I mean,
They don't end up playing genies in movies like Shaq did.
Yeah, that's
no, he didn't.
He didn't do that?
He never played a genie, ever. That movie.
I saw.
That movie does not exist. Oh, I'm so glad you brought this up.
Oh no, are we going to go into this?
You know about it.
No. I think this is something different because I did watch part of a clip of Shaq playing a genie last night in a movie. I watched a clip of Shaq doing it.
No, you didn't.
We're going to mess this up
literally
so
did.
bad.
We are.
You have it backwards?
I think we have it backwards already.
We have it backwards. Who is it that didn't play a genie?
Sinbad.
Sinbad didn't play a genie.
No, Shaq played a genie. I saw Shaq play a genie last night.
you
And it was
know,
notable in.
Shaq did a film in 1996 called Kazam.
Yeah.
Right. But there's another
That's
movie
what I watched.
called put in Sinbad
Plays a
Genie.
genie.
Sinbad Genie.
Yeah, and there's a crazy thing here
Right, yeah.
where everybody saw this movie that
Yeah.
never existed.
Right.
And there's some people who post that there's some sort of warp in the system.
Glitch in the.
It's the
Matrix.
I hate the This is Mattingly brought this up on Ice Cream Social as a legit thing, and we were like, "You're not right."
What is the movie? Shazam.
Shazam. Yeah.
The movie Shazam starring Sinbad,
Yeah.
and it does not exist.
It does not exist. And the spelling of Berenstain Bears and the Mandela
Berenstain.
effect. Many people have memories of Mandela's funeral before it happened.
I
and
see.
stuff.
I see. Yeah.
And so they say that some people argue that it's proof that there's parallel universe, that we share some kind of weird memory from a parallel universe.
You saw the John Oliver, Stephen Hawking interview.
No.
where I think it's John Oliver, says to Hawking, so you believe in parallel universes? And Hawking says yes. He says, so that means there is a parallel universe where I'm smarter than you. And Hawking goes, yes, and also one where you're funny. So, yeah, Screaming Steve Hawking, as I've always called him.
Yeah.
Dead as a hammer.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised by the number of, 1 degree of separation. Nobody that I knew personally, but like friends of friends who were posting incredibly disrespectful, snotty things. Like him walking toward God out of his wheelchair.
Yeah.
And he's finally found the answer to all his questions. And I wonder what Hawking's learned now.
Yeah.
And now he's talking to God to answer all his questions. Just really, really snotty. Kind of like, the day Billy Graham died, if we put up memes that said, and now he's just rotting. He's just dead.
Yeah.
No consciousness, no nothing, no God. Ha, ha, ha.
Right.
Let me take this opportunity, when people who love this man are grieving, to make a snotty, half-assed point. Yeah. And a lot of people did it on Hawking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just really remarkable. So I had an adventure.
Okay.
I read this book. I just want to point out what a coward I am. I read this book called The Poet and the Murderer. Okay, and The Poet and the Murderer is a really great book. It's a really great book.
Is it fiction or nonfiction?
It is nonfiction, and it is about this Emily Dickinson poem, which also got me reading Emily Dickinson, which is not a bad thing. A guy went to Sotheby's and bought, on behalf of his Amherst Dickinson Museum, bought a poem, previously undiscovered poem, in Emily Dickinson's hand. Okay? Tens of thousands of dollars, something like that, like 20,000 or something, at Sotheby's, and began to think it was a forgery. And it turns out that there's this guy who was raised Mormon, who started doing forgeries of Mormon documents that would make the elders look bad. And then he branched out into Daniel Boone, George Washington, Emily Dickinson, right? And this guy is phenomenally talented because he wrote the Emily Dickinson poem in her hand, copying nothing, and writing the poem.
So he's a poet.
Yeah, but and wrote it from this period where she'd be writing that kind of stuff, and on a piece of paper that was datable, right? So he has like one shot at it with a quill to write the whole poem, and does it and fools all the experts, right? And then, by the way, he also blows up 3 people in Salt Lake City, kills them, and goes to prison, right? And the book ends with this missing link of how did the poem get from bad guy, forger, to Sotheby's.
Yeah.
And it is in Vegas, right? And the guy writes that there's this place called the Gallery of History. Mm-hmm. You know the Gallery of History? Mm-hmm. Okay.
I do. It's a crazy building.
Crazy.
Big crazy mall building.
So I read this book, and it says, it's always so nutty to read someone's description of something you know, right? Mm-hmm. He gets off the plane, he describes going to Vegas, and says, I go as far west as I can off the Strip. Which is really funny because I live 11 miles further west off the Strip. As a matter of fact, it's 1 block off the Strip west, as far as he was willing to go, I suppose.
As far as he could go.
So, and then he's there, and it's scary. It's just scary, the Gallery of History and stuff.
It's a little murdery.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a weird-looking building. It's a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. So I have, because the call is a little late at Fool Us, for rehearsal for Fool Us. It was before Fool Us started. I have this, which I never have in my life. I have an unscheduled hour and a half, okay, which is rare for me. So I just finished this book, and I go to my GPS, and I put in Gallery of History, and there it pops up. So I decide I'm going to go over there. Okay. Now, they talk about how, this is a scary place.
Yeah.
Right? And he goes there, and there's this delivery of things. And so I go to this big, scary building with a picture of George Washington under Gallery of History, and a parking lot that's empty. And I walk up to it, and the door is closed and locked. It looks like it's closed. And I go to the back. It's also closed. It says deliveries downstairs. So I go downstairs, and I peek in. It's like this big office complex. It's all owned by the Gallery of History. You've been there.
I've been there. Yeah.
And you've gone in?
I haven't gone in.
Well, I decided what my story was going to be. My first story was going to be, I read this book about the poet and the murderer, and you're part of the murderers, so I wanted to come see you. Then I thought better of that. And my second idea was, got any Bob Dylan stuff? that seems safer, right?
Good cover.
And then I could look like I was looking. I know how to look for Bob Dylan stuff. So, okay. So I go there, and I look in, and there's a guy at the desk. And I look at him, peek at him, and then I run away. That was my entire adventure. Except someone chases me.
Dum, dum, dum.
Penn. And I go back, and there's a woman. She goes, "Hi, can I help you?" I went, "Oh, this is the Gallery of History." And she goes, "Yes." Then I remember that in the book, there's a woman who's with the guy, but I don't know if that's who it is.
Right.
So I say, "Hello. Are you closed?" She says, "We do everything online now." I go, "Okay. I'll look online." She said, "Yeah, we have a lot of stuff here. Whatever you're looking at, we have 200,000 things." I go, "Well, that's more things than I have on me by a lot." I said, "Counting my car keys, I believe I have 6 things on me." And she kind of laughs, and I go, "So you've got hundreds of thousands more things than me, and I'll go look at them online." And then she calls me by name again, and I'm standing there, and I want to say to her, I just read the poet, the murderer, and this is the whole thing. And she said, I kept looking at her going, but if I say this, it could be really uncomfortable. It could go south really fast, and maybe there's murderers in there that'll run out and get me. So I just went, "Huh? Well," she said, "I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice." And I go, "Oh, whatever you got, I don't want to catch it. So I better just be running along." She goes, "Will you check online?" I go, "That's galleryofhistory.com. I say, pretending to, like I'm going to go online. And she says, "Yes." She goes, "We have 200,000 things." I go, "Well, I still got my 6. Bye." That was the entire adventure. And that, to me, was heart-pounding. Heart-pounding.
No wonder you don't want to go kiteboarding on your week off.
No, that was too much for me.
I was in the island of Grenada going through abandoned sugar plantations and came across a courtyard with a dog hanging in the middle of the courtyard. That was...
What?
Really horrifying and scary. I'm just saying, just as far as...
You're trying to compare that?
Yes, yeah. I'm just saying, a little
my
murder,
horrifying?
your little horrifying story. I came across clearly a voodoo ritual dog killing.
Where?
On the island of Grenada.
Where's that?
Southern Caribbean, off the coast of Venezuela.
And you saw a ritual dog killing?
Well, the dog was already done, but someone had done something terrible to this poor little dog. So it's pretty horrifying.
When was this?
17 years ago.
Wow, that made an impression.
Scared the bejesus out of me.
Maybe that was the purpose.
It worked. If that was the ritual, yes, it worked. Also, I had a moment in there where it was a Scooby-Doo moment where I came into a room and a bunch of bats flew out. Which actually scared me for a moment and then made me laugh really hard.
We had a bat that was in the theater. You were around for the bat thing?
No.
And Zeke went and caught the bat as the entire production of Fool Us was freaking out. And that Brett Loudermilk said, "That's just Johnny Thompson."
But him catching the bat, was it the largest applause you had ever seen in the theater?
No, I don't think the audience was there.
Oh,
No,
okay.
the audience
That's
wasn't
sad.
Catching a bat.
Because I was in Ringling once and someone caught a bat. And for the 20 minutes of the show, no one watched any of the acts on stage. They all watched the bat fly around the room. And then one of the acrobats caught the bat, and everybody applauded. And he put the bat in his pocket. And then about 5 seconds later...
What?
I know. I'm telling you. He caught the bat.
First of all, why does an acrobat at Ringling have a pocket?
Yeah. He puts it in his chest pocket.
Why is there a chest pocket in an acrobat suit? Listen, we got this new design.
Yeah.
Now, you got my, you got the new designs. We got
here you go. I got a lot
we
of
got tights.
very
we got
tight,
bright
great
red
pattern,
tights.
really
I got,
reflects light.
Okay, and I got kind of a blue dance belt.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, a
going
lot
to
of support.
cover my junk.
Yeah.
And then I've got the little tank top.
Yeah. Won't be
Okay.
too snug on the shoulders, but it'll keep it nice and flush.
Keep it up, and then so I can do all my acrobatics. Nothing to go catch. And do you have anything else in it?
I was wondering what your opinion on donning a kerchief was.
It's like he wouldn't lose his keys.
That's because Ringling was so corrupt they were afraid to leave something.
Yeah.
Do you want a pocket square when you go hit the high
There were
line?
rhinestones across the top of the pocket.
I'll be doing
Draw attention to it.
I'll be doing a 3.5.
Okay.
And I was thinking that the pocket square should probably be toupee taped in for the 3.5. It shouldn't just hold in the. Why does he have a bat pocket?
I don't trust the reliability of the rosin bag.
Reddy's got it. No, I don't know. It had rhinestones across it. You know how sometimes they'll run rhinestones along the seams of every piece of clothing that they have to try to accentuate it.
But what would he have with him? I mean, I'm getting close to Seinfeld's white pajamas in the pocket. But
I can't explain that. But
I don't think of an acrobat as what he's doing his jumping on the tramp. I don't think of saying, what if he has a little flashlight with him?
I've saved you
Keeps a
that
marker
time.
in there, just
I have saved you.
Of course,
that
you
time.
want an autograph, and he whips out a pen.
Exactly. It's full of Sharpies.
Yeah, exactly. Here you go, kid. Stay on the ground.
He puts the bat in his pocket, and then 5 seconds later, the bat gets away. So not only is it the biggest applause for catching it, but then it's doubled when the bat escapes.
Everyone's rooting for the bat.
They're all watching for the bat. The bat's flying around, and people are, whoa, whoa, while they're trying to catch him. And then this guy finally catches it. Everybody claps.
He catches him what, with his bare
With his bare hands. Catches the bat, stuffs it in his pocket.
That's a no for me.
And then a few seconds later, the bat comes back out.
Here's what I discovered about pigeons.
Go on.
I discovered that you can catch any pigeon you want in the city. You just don't want to. Because I thought it would be a good scene in our movie for Teller to just catch a pigeon,
Yeah.
right? And had people figure out how to do it. We put down some food, and I went, I think maybe you can just do it. And I reached down and grabbed a pigeon, moving fast, grabbed a pigeon.
Yeah.
And when I grabbed it, it was horrible. It was really horrible. You can catch a pigeon you don't want to. So you can catch a bat.
This guy caught a bat.
And he wanted to.
He wanted to.
And he had a pocket for it.
And he put it in a pocket, and the bat escaped.
And they catch it
Great
again?
moment. I don't remember from that moment.
What do you do
Am I
during those?
just a wuss, or is this just a bad idea? Is it worse? Is it a bad idea to catch a bat?
Bats
Or
have
rabies.
carry rabies. They have rabies sometimes.
And rabies.
Oh, rabies. Yes. Bats sometimes have rabies.
Yeah, you can get bit by a bat that you catch.
Yeah. I just feel like it's a bad idea to go after a bat barehanded.
He's already doing a 3.5 bat flip. He's an idiot. No telling how many times he's landed on his head. He grabs a bat, stuffs it in his pocket during the middle of his act.
Whoa, 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 whoa. He's doing his acrobatic.
They're doing the acrobatics, the teeterboard act. There are
Oh, this
3
makes more
teeterboards
sense
out there
now. He's like, I will not be upstaged by this fucking
I
bat.
believe that is the main motivation, yes.
So he puts it in his pocket.
Yes.
And then goes on doing acrobatics.
He plans to go back to acrobatics, but the bat escapes.
The bat had other
The bat
ideas.
escapes. The bat escapes.
I got to tell you, if I am there with my kids at this circus, this is the best circus I've ever been.
It was, yes. Yeah.
My kids
All the clowns are
I know that
watching
my
from
kids
the
would just
wings.
be
We
pointing
are.
at bat and going, the bat. I'm like, this is great. I'm having a great time.
It is
My kids
fantastic.
are having a great time.
Until that, the best applause I had ever heard in the circus was just an elephant spinning and pooping. But no, the bat topped
I'm
that.
telling you, Circus Vargas, if you're listening, because I know you do sometimes, go ahead, just release a bat.
Release a bat. Kill 10x. I'm going to put it in my show. Next time I got to do an hour. Only got 25 minutes of good material. Release the bat.
There's a cage of the bat, and like, is that for your act? No. Nope.
It's my opener.
What are you going to do? Well, I'll catch this bat.
Yeah, I'm going to catch this bat. I'm going to juggle, and I'm going to catch that bat.
You might wonder why I've got a little rhinestone pocket here. I said to my costume designer, I'm going to need a pocket. What do you need a pocket for? You're a juggler. You're going to have all your props out there. For your wallet? No. I have another idea.
Why does a juggler have a rhinestone pocket? Oh, look, a bat.
Oh, I see. We've been set up.
You have 3 clubs and a bat? You're going to take up an hour? I might take up more. I might run long.
It's like a magic trick that's too perfect. There's only one reason he's got that pocket. It's for the bat.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bat. We had a bat at Fool Us. Yeah, it was fun.
I'm sorry your audience wasn't there because they really would have loved it. You could have had all the video that you want. You know how you shoot video of them laughing before the show? You could have just shot the bat.
We don't shoot video of them laughing before the show.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean that at all.
We do it all completely legitimate. We don't spend a half hour beforehand going, now you're seeing something amazing. Now you go, oh my God. Now you hold your hands up like this.
And we definitely don't show footage from a previous season of someone doing something really gross to make sure we get a good reaction.
We do that. What's his name? Dan
Sperry.
Dan Sperry. They show a video from the previous year to shoot the audience reaction.
Right,
Yeah.
Nice.
He stuck a signed
Dan
quarter in
Sperry
his
was
eye.
with me in Taiwan a couple weeks ago.
Was he really?
He was, yeah. Yeah, he and I did a show in Taiwan together.
Is he doing the really gross stuff? Quarter in the eye and pulling the thing out of his
he did the
stomach?
thing out of his neck. He did the thing out of his neck thing. I couldn't see much of his show because I was on
Chasing a bat?
after him. Yeah,
But he had the white makeup on.
he had a little bit of white makeup in the eye, crazy, and
He's a really good-looking hunk when he doesn't have all that stuff on. If I say so myself, and I do.
He's a really great performer.
he was
Yeah.
really good.
Fabulous performer.
And really nailed his ideas. You know what I mean? Really understood deeply what his character was and what that meant,
Definitely.
which is unusual in the magic world.
No, it is.
It is.
And especially that kind of,
Yeah.
you know, when you mess with people with blood
Right.
and stuff like that.
He had it nailed. It was great.
He also, the thing is, if you have an intense character like that, you cannot apologize for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Max Maven would have this, widow's peak and this all dressed in black and really intense, then would come out and go, boo. I live in Hollywood. It's the only place I'm not noticed dressed like this.
Yeah.
And you go, you can't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, ZZ Top, Billy never comes out and goes, hey, hillbilly beard, huh? How goofy
Yeah.
is that? You can't do that. You got to you can't show them. You can't show any sort of wink.
No.
And Dan Sperry does not show a wink.
was really good.
He has no inclination that you think. Learned a lot from Bobcat Goldthwait
Yep.
in the early years. Learned a lot from
Like I said, he
Marilyn
really
Manson.
impressed me, like you're saying, nailed the character in a way that I had not expected. You know what I mean? Looking at pictures, I would go, okay, he's probably going to alibi it in some way. Nope. Perfectly nailed it. It was great. I really enjoyed
and
the show.
deeply funny
Yeah.
and really good magic.
Yep.
How long did he do?
15 minutes.
And with a bat?
If he'd had a bat, he could have done
2.5
25.
hours.
Yeah.
Now, what's Taiwan like?
Taiwan, it's like the Mexican version of China. Like what's the border town? Tijuana.
Tijuana.
It's like Tijuana.
You said that backwards.
Yeah, it's China's Tijuana.
I just heard Border Town and I got excited. So
It is like a border town. China was relatively quiet and not quiet, but restrained compared to Taiwan. Taiwan is fantastic. It's
a crazy
wild.
town.
Crazy town. Amazing energy. Things going wild. But Taipei itself was, great.
Chickens? Are there chickens?
A lot of chickens there. There were chickens. I saw chickens.
One of the
Did you try to
things-
catch one? Is it hard?
No, I didn't grab a chicken. I
it
didn't
in
have a
your
pocket.
rhinestone
I didn't
pocket.
have a large enough pocket to hold a chicken. My
big
back pocket would only hold the chicken's head.
On my acrobat outfit, I have a chicken pocket.
Yeah, Hill Bill. Well, of course.
Exactly. It's just a kangaroo
He's got a
pouch.
chicken pocket.
And what were you doing? Doing 15 over there?
Yeah, I was doing a 15-minute set.
What kind of-
as
what
part
kind
of part of a
I'm
magic.
always surprised that people overseas hire you. Good.
I am as well.
I mean, you're great, but
I'm surprised, and also I'm
there's no
surprised
one
by
in Taipei that can eat an apple.
apparently not. Nobody's got as good a bat pocket as me.
We put
And
out
it
the
went
audition
really
notice,
well. The
too.
show was great. I actually closed the Magic Convention, oddly enough.
It was a magic convention.
Yeah, yeah.
And all Chinese magicians?
All Chinese magicians, all Chinese, all Korean. Many people from Korea came over.
And you did your act
And
in
I did
English?
15 minutes in English, yeah. And it went really well.
Were they mostly speaking English, or did you do a
No,
translation?
they mostly spoke Chinese, as far as I could tell, during the day. And then at night at the show, they all learned English somehow.
At night is Cockney. Everybody just
yeah,
switches.
yeah, exactly. Somehow they all...
But you weren't translating.
I was not translated in any way, and they had asked if I wanted a translator, and I decided not to, just to try it, and it went really well. The show went really well.
You were just your show's pretty physical.
It was fun. It's pretty physical comedy, and it was there was a nutty thing when I arrived at the airport. They rather than coming to pick me up, usually they meet you. This time they just had a guy with a sign that said, "Here, get in that taxi," and gave the taxi money and sent me off with this little old lady taxi driver. And this little old lady, and she's racing along through Taipei, and she's texting in Chinese while driving, which is, we have 26 letters. I have no idea how many they have, but it's really
11.
a lot.
26.
More than 26. And it was amazing. She's typing in Chinese while driving, and she has...
See, but the thing is that in Chinese is not a special skill set for someone in China.
typing with a lot of letters.
Okay, but that's a different thing.
That's what I'm
In
saying.
Chinese is not,
I mean, I feel like it requires a great deal more focus to read a Chinese letter than an American. But I don't read Chinese, so that's...
Exactly.
I think I can type in Chinese, no problem.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll make any sense. But I can just click clack away. I don't care.
She's texting and typing, and she has 5 live displays in the taxi. So she's typing on the iPhone, but she's also got an iPad with information on it and a moving map, dash videos for the front and back. She's got a screen showing the fare information. She has 2 radios going at once, and one is playing classical European music. The Wedding March plays while I'm riding to this place. She also, at the same time, has on a
But it felt
Chinese,
more like a funeral march.
Chinese popular music, and a daytime drive talk comedy show. So people talking in Chinese and laughing, and all this is going at once while she's driving me through Taipei. It was the most amazing ride I've ever had.
What's her name? The Chinese version of Mr. Toad?
I don't know. Yes.
What's Taipei like?
I'm telling you,
The only way I would know is there ever been a James Bond movie set there?
no, there hasn't.
Okay.
There hasn't, because none of Taipei has been designed for beauty. It is all functionality, and so it is, a billion people in a very, very small area with things in every direction. So it's fascinating to be
Is
there.
it like Blade Runner?
Yeah, it's closer to Blade Runner than it is to Shanghai. Shanghai was a beautiful city full of lights and carefully designed and orchestrated, and Taipei has just landed, and things have fallen on it, and they've just used them where they landed. It's the greatest.
What kind of venue were you playing?
A Christian college.
What?
I mean, it's a magic convention,
Oh, yeah.
so they've rented the room from a
And
Christian
how big a hall?
hall? 500 people.
Oh, yeah.
500, pretty good size. And magic convention, people doing lectures and stuff all day and selling props in the dealer's room. It's great.
This is the man. Remember, when I'm asking this question, I know we get a different answer. This is a man who went out into the woods where leeches run toward you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And shot it, not screaming in terror.
Yeah. And what did you do? How long were you there?
Just for 4 days.
And what did you do during those 4 days?
Sat at the magic convention looking at props.
Okay.
All right.
Walked around. I didn't get out and do as much as I would have liked. I would have liked to have gone out and done some stuff. Taiwan has some beautiful countryside, but I didn't get to see it this trip.
Did you eat
I was there
anything?
once 35 years ago, and I haven't been back since.
Your welcome back sign?
Yes, welcome back. Thank goodness you made it. Had dumplings,
Dumplings?
which is great, delicious.
Nice.
Amazing Chinese food.
You didn't get sick?
Did not get sick?
Were you staying on the vegan program, or
No, I did not.
what kind of dumplings?
that would be difficult to identify.
Meat.
Meat.
Those.
There were meats in some of them. There were spinach. Some of them were spinach, but some were also meat.
There was
Different meats.
There was a friend of mine, who Doc Swan, who was down in a Texas border town, in a bar, where he stopped for lunch while he was driving, doing a circus or carnival gig, and there was a sign on the wall, and the server came over and said to him, "You want a taco?" And he said, "Yeah, I'll have some tacos." And she said, "What kind?" And he said, I don't know." And she said, "You want meat?" He said, "Yeah, give me a meat taco." And she left. And after she left, she brought the tacos, and he's eating them. And he looks up on the wall, and it says tacos, bean, chicken, pork, beef, meat.
Nice.
That was like your dumpling, right?
Yep, exactly.
Meat dumpling.
Meat dumplings.
So, in the studio right now
Yeah.
is a man by the name of John Henney.
Oh, wait, before we get into this,
Okay.
did Zeke use his bare hands to catch the bat?
Oh, Annette.
Okay, use the net.
No, a woman named Annette. He threw up in the bat.
She caught it in her mouth.
Caught it in her mouth, yeah. She did not have a pocket, but she was very good at soft mouth. Do you know soft mouth?
The dogs that you train dogs to carry.
Yeah, my nephew trained his dog in soft mouth, which I found horrifying until he explained what it was. Because imagine my surprise when I found out this was a hunting skill. So Annette has soft mouth.
Okay.
I saw that written on the restroom wall. Yeah, he caught the bat with a net,
Great.
and
Released it back to the wild.
I believe he took it outside. Yeah.
You know, we have a huge bat population here because of that light in the top of the Luxor.
Well, you remember I went and saw some of that adventure.
What is that? Look at that.
Yeah, that's a good video.
I was very amazed.
Yeah, it was.
There were big birds,
Big white birds flying through that
big
light.
white birds flying. I think it's a really good idea to just build the brightest light in the world. That's put it somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Let's fuck all the moths. All the moths fly into it, all the bats come to live for the moths, and then the birds were there too. So big party night.
It's a big party, big party. So John Henney is an L.A. voice guy who's also a cronut.
All right.
See, John Henney is my height, right? You're a little taller. My height exactly.
I'm 6'7".
Same height. And John Henney lost 165 pounds.
That's
Wow.
me.
With
Me
with
completely.
Cronin. And Cray Ray introduced me to him at a time that I had really bad voice problems, and he's been helping me over FaceTime before the Fool Us shows.
Yeah.
But he decided to come in. How am I doing? How is the voice so far on the show?
You're doing good. You sounded really clean today. I was going to say better than my voice. I just recently got over a cold, so I'm the voice guy with a bad voice.
Uh-huh. And but I'm doing all right. I'm projecting it right, and doing everything right, breathing right, doing everything fine.
You're good.
Now, how much of the he has me do? You heard the warm up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was doing like, and now what percentage of voice training is just bullshit?
Oh, man. You know, most of what you're doing that I'm having you do are pretty just light warm-ups. So it's not anything to really, build the voice or tax it too much. It's like stretching as opposed to weight training.
But you do know that people that study voice tend to be people who also stereotypically are a little bit superstitious. And there are certainly voice teachers who exploit that.
Yes.
What were you talking about, Reddy? There's some particles, T particles in the air? Yeah. Have you heard of this?
I have not heard of this. I've heard of a lot, but not that one.
T in the humidifier.
Tea in the humidifier is what Reddy
People
said.
put tea.
Are you
in
guys
there.
talking in code? Is there a deal going down?
Well, see, now the issue with that is
I have a
actually
back
what a
pocket.
humidifier does is it basically boils it, and it's only going to put the water into the
Yeah,
atmosphere,
sure.
not the tea. You can use, like I had you get a nebulizer where you use a saline solution, and that will actually turn it into a mist and put the saline into the mist.
Yeah, I do. I now do my nebulizer before the show.
Yeah.
And I can't tell if things help. He's going to also see the show tonight and see me going full volume.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it does help. I will tell you, they have, in the research that they're doing, they find that it's more helpful for women than for men, and the hypothesis is because men have a longer breathing tube before the air hits the cords, that it's moisturized a bit more than for women. So dry voice tends to be a little bit more chronic for females.
And Vegas is the worst place for it.
They actually talk about Vegas throat.
Sure.
Performers
And
are
I actually, Paul McCartney has always been a very, very strong singer.
Yes.
And I went to see Paul McCartney here in Vegas, and he could not get through Yesterday,
Yeah.
which I believe is a song he sung before.
Exactly.
When it got to Why She Had to Go, it got to Why She. That was, and I mean, I would imagine his band can play it in any key, and the key they would probably choose would be Paul McCartney's key. I would
think
guess.
so. Yeah.
And he had trouble on the high stuff. I mean, even Paul in Vegas. The only person I've ever heard to not have any voice problems ever is Tom Jones.
Yeah, I think, there's a genetic component to the voice as well, and I think he is incredibly blessed. Tom is just a powerhouse.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
It is amazing. And I know Tom a little bit, and we would talk, and I'd say, he's whatever he is. He's in his 70s and doing everything in the same key.
Yeah.
Because if you listen to Led Zeppelin, they've
Stepping down a little.
He's stepping down a little bit.
Yeah.
Stepping down a little bit to hit those notes. And Tom Jones just sings it out.
Yeah.
No problem at all. But I'm doing okay.
You're doing great.
It's good to have a vocal coach right
Professional.
here in the room.
That's
isn't it?
fantastic.
And how did 165 pounds feel? Losing
Oh,
that?
that's just amazing. I think that all of you are fellow cronuts, but even just walking felt odd to me. Like my legs felt really floppy and bandy, and even I sit different, like trying to find a comfortable position. Sleeping is very different. My knees are bony.
But also it's funny because people who meet you,
Yeah.
I have a few friends, who might have seen me on TV before, but they met me after I lost the weight. And it really is a different thing. We only know you looking like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Ray said his Google face recognition software doesn't recognize me as the same person.
Right.
The before and after.
Yeah.
So I figured I could have actually done some card counting at the casinos, lost the weight, and then come back.
Yeah.
Except for the card counting part.
Yeah.
The plan is perfect.
Yes.
Except for that. Yeah, we have had 644 people who've lost 30,998 pounds. Once again, self-reported. But he's talked about this on his podcast, so it's not a secret. But Kevin Smith had some serious problems, heart problems, from being fat, and many people on Twitter said, "Would you just step in and save his life? Could you just do that?" So I don't know him well.
Yeah.
I was on his podcast once years and years ago, and
before you lost all the weight, you were on the podcast.
we were both wicked fat. And I think I kind of, in the gentlest way possible, kind of got in touch with him, And he wrote back to me and said, "You lost a lot of weight." And I said, "Yeah." And then I wrote rather boldly, "Hey, Kevin, want me to save your life? Just for fun?"
Mm-hmm.
And he wrote back, "Yeah, you lost all that weight, didn't you?" So I told him to read Presto, which he read in 2 days. And then got in touch with me and said, "I'm ready." And I put him in touch with Cray Ray. And I'm very pleased that in a little over a week, Kevin's down 17 pounds.
Yeah.
Blood
he's
pressure
doing really well.
already coming into line. He already feels better. And he said that he's editing a special that he shot what he's in at his fattest, and already in 2 weeks he can see the difference in his face and how he looks.
Holy cow!
So I think Kevin Smith is on his way to, and he's doing the same thing that Cray Ray did to you. Kevin Smith said to Cray Ray, "I'd like to get down to about 205," and Cray Ray said, "We're going to 180." And Kevin,
You keep thinking he's wrong. There's no way.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Kevin Smith said, "Well, I wasn't even 180 in high school." And Cray Ray wrote back, "That's right." Good. So I've been cheerleading, and you go girl. I write every day to him. And I said, "I'll be your cheerleader." And he said, "Well, I'm hoping for pigtails and pom-poms." And I said, "Well, that goes without saying." And I've told him that next time I'm in L.A., we'll get together and we will not eat shit together.
Yeah.
And
That's great.
He's just coming off his potato famine and sticking to it and having a great time, just clicking in. So
Good for him.
I will also, but 165. I mean, I guess Joe swam.
Yeah.
How much was he?
I don't know. I don't know if it was
In
more
that
than
neighborhood. I don't think
Yeah.
it's more than that, though.
I don't think he's more than that.
I think 165
Are
is the most
you
I've heard of.
Cray Ray's best? Are you the most?
No, he's got somebody that's lost over 200, I believe.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's really great.
Yeah, but I mean, my blood pressure, the upper number dropped from 160. I'm now 105.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. The only way to get it down more than that is dead.
Yeah.
You're on your way to dead. And you also, all of us noticed changes in our voices when we lost the weight.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, well, what I noticed, I mean, it's obviously worse today, but I did get a little bit of vocal weakness. And so I spoke with an ear, nose, and throat doctor about it, and he said they'll often, when they see that, it's usually in bariatric surgery patients. And there's a little
Well,
bit of,
everybody thinks we're bariatric surgery.
Oh, yeah.
All of us who lost weight with Cray Ray really fast.
well, they think we're sick.
Everybody accuses us of that.
Yeah.
Even in print, they've accused me of that I got bariatric surgery
Lying about
then
it,
lied
yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
But he said I interrupted you. They said they see that in bariatric surgery.
Yeah, and so it's a bit of loss of mass on the vocal folds. He said it usually the voice comes back, not always. And I thought, well, you know what? Even if my voice doesn't come back 100%, it's better to be alive.
Yeah.
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 There you go.
And you run what is it? John Henney, HENNY Studios in L.A., right?
Yeah, John Henney Vocal Studio.
Yeah. And he does vocal coaching, and there's also music lessons. Of
Yeah, I've got a music academy in Glendora.
Wow.
Nice.
So that's what he does. And I figured if I'm going to do vocal stuff, that I might as well be with a cronut who knows about losing the weight and stuff. So he's warming me up, and he'll see the show tonight, and he's watching me go through this. So that'll be exciting. It'll be exciting.
I think maybe you get like a salty fog just pumped in on the Penn
Into the whole
Theater.
room. Yeah.
Well,
Salty fog.
Celine Dion kind of sort of does that, right?
Saline Dion.
Celine. Her whole theater has humidified. When you go in there, it's I've been told. I haven't seen Celine yet.
That's a big theater.
Yeah, I've been told they pump in a lot of moisture
Oh, interesting.
Good for her.
for her, so she can sing a little bit. Because I have a lot of leeway in how I can sound and still get through the show.
Right.
Singers have less leeway.
Yeah.
Like Cher's, when Cher's here, her room is just full of. It's like the whole thing is a steam room all the time.
Right.
And I guess because
That's for her skin, right?
No, that's to keep the recordings in good shape so you can play them. When
She
she's
could
not
tear if she gets dry.
But yeah, that's a big problem. Yeah. And I run humidifiers in my dressing room, and I run a humidifier in my office at home, and pumped up the biggest one for a big room, pumped up running 24 hours a day, just about gets the humidity up to 30.
Wow.
And you want it. You're trying for 40, 45,
Yeah.
and getting up to 30 is almost impossible. If you just leave it with nothing, it's 16.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Which is wicked dry.
Yeah.
And you'd think that, we would somehow adjust. The skin adjusts a little bit.
Yeah, it does.
But and vocal probably does too. We just don't notice it. We adjust a little bit to the living in the Mojave.
Yeah.
But it's dry here in the desert. One of the definitions of desert.
Yeah, yeah.
I think when you move here, after about 3 weeks, your skin peels off and you get new desert skin.
Yeah. And the worst thing you can do, which is what I did for 10 years, was live here and then go on the road for 2 or 3 months at a time.
Oh, so you have to do that change.
You're always coming back.
Always
and all your
peeling.
skin peels off your body.
Yeah, I remember buying this like gel for the edges of my nose and stuff when I first moved here because
Yeah.
I was getting bloody nose and things like that.
It's a brutal place to live. You really shouldn't live
And
here.
talking to people who come here for Fool Us, they're like, "Oh, I'm drinking a lot of water. You still drink a lot of water?" And I was like, "Oh, I just drink, whatever amount." I was like, "I don't know if my body's gotten used to being in the desert or whether I've gotten used to just being partially dehydrated all the time."
Yeah.
Have you had
don't know
people
which one it
complain
is.
because they couldn't do their card manipulation stuff?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
We had one guy on the show. I won't say who it is. I don't want to ruin any surprises.
Yeah.
But he had a move that everyone was sure was going to fry us,
Right.
and then could not get his hands right to be able to do the move. So had to put in a simpler move that we caught.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of card guys have a lot of trouble. The skin stuff in Vegas.
dries out
That's
and-
the way we get our advantage.
Home turf.
That was good thinking.
Yeah, really good, really good. So you also did a tour of Idaho.
I did. I was in Idaho last week.
How do you compare Taipei to Idaho?
A lot of dumplings in Idaho.
A lot of dumplings in Idaho. A lot of pine trees in Idaho.
All right.
Almost as many as there are dumplings in Taipei. I was in places so remote that the towns didn't have cell service. So now when you're driving along and you don't have cell service, you get to the town and you go, okay, well, now I can use my phone. Nope, not there.
Wow.
Driving along, there are no... I park in front of the library in the towns that I would be working in and sit there on their stealing their Wi-Fi at night after my show.
That's
So
crazy. So
what
there's
kind of-
Wi-Fi in Taipei, but not in Idaho.
Oh, yeah, there's Wi-Fi everywhere in Taipei.
Now, tell us, what were you doing in Idaho?
I got a series of school shows up in Idaho.
Who booked that? Trying to get work.
Yeah, exactly. I can tell you. A clown friend of mine just called out of nowhere and said, we're having this referendum on the school board, whether they want to spend more money or not on the school, and we'd like to do a little show after that. And I said, great, that'd be great. And she said, while you're up here, I think I could probably get you a few school shows if you want to do that. And I said, great, fantastic. And then she booked a whole week's worth in about an hour and called me back and went, yeah, you're booked all week.
And what kind of schools? I mean,
Elementary schools. Elementary schools. I did one middle school. I stayed at a resort. My friends own a resort there called the Three Rivers Rafting Resort.
did you go rafting?
I did not go rafting. It's the wrong time of year. So
Even for you,
even for me,
I would consider you to like being a dry
it was
suit.
kind of snowing.
And so elementary.
So I just drove around, and they're a couple hours apart every day. So I had a rental car, and I would get up in the morning and have a little coffee and get in the car, drive a couple hours to do a school, drive back, and spend the night in the resort again.
Oh, you
But I was the only one in the resort.
you would go back and forth every day.
Yeah, back to the same place.
At what
Most
ti-
of the days.
What time were the shows?
12, 1, generally in the middle of the day.
Good audiences?
Great audiences.
Well, they're in Idaho.
Yeah, well, I think, they were very excited to have me there, and I was pretty excited to be there.
How long were you doing?
Like 30 minutes.
So no bat.
No bat. Didn't need the bat, which is good news. Although I was working on some writing just before I left, and I left my carry-on in the airport here in Vegas.
And by that you mean you're dead animals.
Yeah. They sent a soft-mouthed dog to go pick it up.
Yeah, and you didn't want to touch this. So when I landed in Spokane, Washington. I had to go by.
Spokane, Washington?
That's one of the closest airports to the place I was going.
Where is Idaho?
This is going to get complicated. Next to Oregon, above Nevada.
Really?
Yeah.
When did they put it there?
No, it's a weird shape. It's a little odd, and it goes all the way up to touching Washington. So
Washington?
and Utah
Okay.
on one side. Yeah.
This is the way things go.
Yeah. Okay. Washington,
Right?
Oregon, California. Right.
Got that.
Got that part. Now, when you start moving in,
Yeah.
it goes Idaho.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I thought Idaho was below Minnesota.
No. No.
What's below Minnesota?
Iowa.
Iowa. Iowa and Idaho are different places.
They are different places.
Iowa.
One of them's full of mountains and pine trees, and the other one's full of...
Idaho's full of mountains and pine trees?
Yes, it is.
Have I ever been to Idaho?
I don't know.
What is the... I believe we have played every state
Boise?
in the country.
Maybe Boise?
Except for like 4 states.
There are probably some Native American casinos in Idaho that you may have worked in Boise or...
Yeah. Well, we were
Idaho
talking
Falls?
about...
Glenn would know.
We were talking about doing a tour where we would just do cleanup and cover all the states we hadn't done before.
Well, if you need someone to drive, I know my way around Idaho pretty well now.
I always wanted to do 50 shows in 50 states in 50 days. I always wanted to do that.
We should do a tour.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
We should do
I was driving
a podcast from every state.
a podcast from every state. That's terrific.
Well, it's very exciting that I now know where Idaho is.
You want to know how great Idaho is? I'm driving through a residential
To celebrate Penn's
area.
recent knowledge of Idaho, we're doing 50 shows in 50 states in 50 days.
I've invested in mobile gear, so we could do this now.
Yeah,
have.
ready's ready.
All right.
Fantastic. I was driving through a residential area 2 days ago, and on the front yard of one of the houses I drove by,
Yeah.
a live bald eagle just sitting in the front yard. Fuck the pink flamingo thing.
How big?
Live bald eagle sitting in
How
this guy.
big of a pocket would the acrobat need for that? I mean, look at the size of the pocket on that acrobat.
What is the rhinestone backpack on that acrobat for?
I bet they're going to let a bald eagle go. You're going to catch that during his acrobat. I'm glad we came. I'm glad we came.
That'd be great. You swing through the air to catch the eagle, and the eagle catches you. And you just hang out.
Hang out with the eagle. Fly over the audience and then out the door. It's a beautiful,
So Idaho had a
many bald eagles. I figured this is Uncle Sam's house. This has got to be the greatest American. Who has a bald eagle sitting in their front yard?
yeah.
I was
Guy
impressed.
comes out, chops down a cherry tree, goes back inside.
Yeah, there are a lot of cherry tree stumps around his yard.
I want you to deliver my mail.
Sit on my yard.
I want you to get the fuck out of here.
Now the bald eagle was not.
Not chained in any way, of his own volition, his own free will.
That's
The
where
bald eagle was sitting on the front yard.
But I don't think of bald eagles as being on the ground much.
I did, yeah. I was surprised as you.
Walking around?
Just standing still.
You sure it was a real
Yes,
eagle?
I'm sure it was a real eagle. It was not a plaster eagle.
It's carved out of butter. It was a state fair.
Yeah, exactly.
The butter eagle?
The butter eagle.
The butter eagle.
The very rare butter eagle.
How'd you know it was a real eagle?
It's not hard to tell. I understand that, you know, if you don't travel around, maybe you don't see a lot of bald eagles, but I had already seen 4 that day. There were other eagles around. There were a lot of bald eagles in Idaho.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And they were doing stuff, too. I saw eagles, like, swooping down and catching things and fighting with other birds, and the eagles were carrying on in Idaho.
I'm going to tell you something that is going to blow your mind.
Okay.
You know that there are lots of 10 Commandments in front of courthouses in this country. You know that, right?
Yeah.
And you know that some of them argue that they shouldn't be taken down because of the First Amendment, because they are historical monuments and they're important to there. And their historical significance outweighs the
Separation
First
of church and
Amendment, First Amendment clause,
Sure.
the separation clause. Do you know where, not some of, but all of those 10 Commandments came from?
No.
You're not going to believe me. No one will believe me. No one should believe me. But after we close this show, you'll all look it up, and you'll all have your mind blown. When they did the movie, The 10 Commandments,
Stop it.
Hollywood, as part of their campaign, made tablets of the 10 Commandments and put them in front of courthouses. And Charlton Heston would show up. That's why they all look the same. The two
Right.
right out of the movie.
Yeah.
The 2 10 Commandments things. Nothing to do historically, nothing to do with fear of communism. A promotion for a Hollywood movie that has now become part of our history. You say
Like the Rocky statue
exactly
in Philadelphia.
the
Sure.
Rocky statue, same thing. Just a promotional item that is now violating our Constitution.
The date of the release of the JFK files. It was because
There you go.
movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly the date of the release of the JFK files. Hollywood really is a creeping fungus on the United States. A creeping fungus. You'll look that up. I just found this out yesterday.
Yeah.
A friend who was interviewing a First Amendment attorney,
Yeah.
he said that. And, of course, no one believed him.
Right.
No one believed him. Everybody rushed to their Google and checked it out. And that's why they all look alike. There's no pictures in the Bible. They all look alike because it's
Which is why I haven't read it.
Exactly.
You can get one with pictures.
All right.
Graphic novel. You can get one any way you want. But we're going to talk Wednesday, which is, now,
Yeah.
about Jonesy and I doing our CD. But first I want to say for now, that was Penn Sunday School.
That was Penn Sunday School.
Cha-cha-cha.
And to our listening ears,
You become naked.
all nature sang and round us rang the music of the spheres.
I'm not going to do that now.
Do that.
I'll do that the
He's
next
about to jump up.
He's scared.
next
He's
show.
scared. He's buckled over.
The next show, I'll do the long screaming for this whole section of scream. That was Penn Sunday School.
You have a show tonight.
I do. And Jonesy and I got our whole, we have our whole CD to talk about. Oh, in hung. Get that bad.
Stand by for Wednesday's episode, everybody.
Quickly look up the Ten Commandments thing.
Acrobatics would be a good title for this episode. Could Yeah, acro dash capital BAT. Acrobatics.
Jackie Chan's crime story is set in Taipei.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I googled 10 Commandments. I got nothing.
10 what? What are we billboarding in this show?
Jonesy again.
Jonesy's Jazz
Yeah.
Review.
Yeah. Mike Pengelacci's out. And we got the reviews from Greece and Japan right here. We will actually read them this show.
Yep.
Anything else you would like to billboard?
Can we fix the audiobooks thing this time around?
What do you mean?
He's going to make a speech. Stand up, Reddy. It's better if you do the standing up.
We're still on the air, so I have to dance on
Be
this
as polite
delicately.
as possible.
We did an ad for a
booking
service that sells audiobooks,
Mm-hmm.
and you said you should get Presto
Uh-huh.
using said service.
Uh-huh.
Not all of your books are carried on this particular service overseas.
I see. Right. That's right. I knew that. So I should say that?
So we get letters when you say you could get such and such book,
I see. Because you can't.
but we also can't say, since they're still advertising with us.
I see.
My suggestion is to tell those people to look up the publisher of the book if you can't find it and go to their website directly.
Okay.
For Presto, that's audiobooks.com. And for the rest of them, it's brillianceaudio.com.
I see.
I don't know if I could even say that. When you were asking Matt to Google, your phrasing on it was put in such and such,
Uh-huh.
which reminded me of Strom Thurmond saying, turn on the machine when he meant the microphone.
Ah.
Oh, I finally watched all of Black Mirror, so I saw your episode of Black Mirror.
It's good, isn't it?
It's great. It should have been a whole episode. Has anyone else said that?
I did. I just looked up the Ten Commandments thing again. Still true.
Could have gone on and just changed.
It
all
really
of
felt like he used your story And the third story was strong enough to justify the episode, but he had that comedy piece in the middle that he couldn't quite find a home for.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, he put that in there. The annoying voice, having your wife live in your head.
Oh, yeah.
Felt like a pretty weak comedy premise that he just wanted to get out there because he...
We're still live.
How's it going, everybody?
I'm ready to go whenever.
Anything else? Anything else?
We're waiting on the tech.
Billboard?
We're on tech.
On a Billboard jazz album and comedy.
Got that?
and-
Jazz album and comedy.
And comedy. We didn't actually talk about Fool's rapping, but I don't know if we want to talk about it.
Yeah, we can talk about it a little bit.
There was a rapper on Fool Us?
Yes, there was, actually.
Oh yeah, I didn't win on Romania's Got Talent. The rapper
Well, let's hear
won.
about that. We talked about Romania. We talked about Transylvania, but
Yes.
we
Which
talk
people are
about-
really behind our version of doing a what was it?
McDraculas.
McDraculas.
McCastle. No, McDracula.
McDraculas.
Yeah.
I know because I struggled with the apostrophe.
Ah, I see.
Should I include it or not?
McDraculas is great.
And also where? I chose singular.
Ah,
Oh, yes. There's one Dracula. It's his castle. We're the only ones that sell food and merchandise.
try the blood pudding. You ever had blood pudding?
Yes,
That's right.
You like it?
I did. And then people told me it was in it, and it still didn't stop me. I was over in Scotland for a month for a Fringe festival. They had a lot of blood pudding over there. Tried haggis once. It's gross.
You did?
Yeah.
Haggis is gross, right?
Yeah. Haggis was gross to me even as a total carnivore. Now I couldn't even.
This is Penn Sunday School.
Okay, here we go.
And to our listening ears, all angels sing and round us rings the music of the spheres. This is Penn Sunday School.
Brothers and sisters, welcome to Penn's Sunday School, starring Penn Gillette. My name is Michael Godot, and along with Matt Donnelly, we are broadcasting from the Show Creator Studios in Las Vegas.
Penn Sunday School.
Mike Jones' Penn Gillette Jazz CD is out, and we've got the reviews from Greece and Japan right here. We'll actually get to them this show. And I'm sorry to report that Godot is not going on to the finals on the Romanian Talent TV show. Here he is preaching love, Mr. Penn Gillette.
Well, we're going to get to preaching love. First, we're going to preach bummer. Who beat you on Romania's Got Talent?
A Romanian rapper kid.
A Romanian rapper?
A Romanian rapper kid.
Did he rap in Romanian?
He wasn't actually there taping the day that I did. I've just heard reports from Romania,
You don't know.
so I don't.
Who was
know.
there the
It was
day
the
you were there?
finals. The finals that I was there. An American magician, don't remember his name. A couple of comedians who were trounced soundly by the judges.
Romanian comedians?
Romanian comedians. Yes.
Speaking in Romanian?
Speaking in Romanian.
Is Romanian the language?
Yes.
Okay.
Romanian is the language, which is Rome's language. It's actual Romance language.
So does it grow out of Latin?
Yes, it is. It's, I believe, the closest language that still exists to Latin, a live use of Latin. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It was cool.
But you lost.
But I lost, sadly.
Did you advance at all?
Well, I was on the. There were only 2 rounds, so I didn't make it to the finals.
I believe, and I'm not allowed to say this yet, but I believe we're doing Britain's Got Talent.
Oh, nice.
We're planning on doing that.
You're not. Probably not. I bet you're not supposed to say that.
No, I don't think so. In May.
Wow, if Matt knows you're not supposed to say it.
Yeah.
Woof.
Yeah. Imagine how much Glenn knows.
And you're not competing on it.
I don't know. It was 10 years ago today. Today, 10 years ago today, that I lost spectacularly on Dancing with the Stars.
Really?
Yes. And I was reading over my journal, and I did not think I was going to lose that quickly.
Yeah.
I guess we have the Dunner-Kruger principle there.
Well, you had done a
I thought
great
I was
deal of
dancing
work.
better than I was.
You were dancing well.
Also, turns out that and I've said this several times, I don't think anybody knows what I'm talking about, but time is less important in dancing than you would think. I was very surprised that the dancers who were really, really good were not in time. They were not right in the pocket. And for dancing, because of the speed of light and the speed of sound, even over short distances, being right in time doesn't matter. If you're playing drums or bass and you're right there, being in the pocket is very, very important. Humans can perceive slight differences.
Yeah.
But I talked to the band and the bass player and the drummer who play behind Dance with the Stars and said, does it drive you crazy that no one's dancing in time with what you're playing? And they went, insane. We can't look over at them. And these people who were wonderful. I mean, they looked really good.
Right.
They moved beautifully. I'd watched their foot come down really definitively just a little bit after the beat. And I was going like, ugh. And I was dead in time, but not attractive and not beautiful. So that turns out that's
That's a subjective thing.
Now that you've lost a little weight, do you want to go back on, you think?
no. Also, they do all this. So much of their motive seems to be getting people to cry.
Right.
You know, this is really important to you. Isn't this going to be miserable if you don't win? And I made my father very, very proud. My father was dead then, still is. But they took me back backstage right after, live.
Yeah.
Right after, and came to me, and the interviewer asked me, what'd you think of your score? And I was able to say, what was our score? I paid absolutely no attention
Right.
whatsoever to what the score was and what either of the judges said.
Right.
Because the judges, I wanted very much to do a good job. I wanted to make Kim, my partner, very, very happy.
Yeah.
I wanted to be on the show as long as I could to maximize the help for the Penn and Teller show. I took it very seriously. Adam Carolla did not,
Right.
but he did better than me. I took it very seriously, and I worked very, very hard. None of that is negated what I'm about to say. I did not in any way, other than business, give the slightest fuck what those judges thought of me.
Right.
And then you're probably pretty close to understanding how I felt about Romania's show. They called and said, I'm sorry you didn't make it to the finals. And I went, okay, thanks.
But I mean, there were three people there looking me in the eyes and saying stuff that I believe they thought was mean.
Ah.
You know, they were trying to be unpleasant. And
Cut
one
you
of the,
down.
one of the guys that was on there, it made me so uncomfortable because when they would show the clip reel of the previous week, whenever he himself appeared in the clip reel, he would applaud really aggressively and laugh.
That was perhaps too good an impersonation if you were trying to be subtle.
And I found it.
You might have identified him dead on with just that.
I found it so. I cringed.
Yes.
I cringed so much watching them show that and afterwards, you know. And he came back afterwards because Glenn told me later
Yeah.
and told me he was very sorry for what he had to say and it was just show business, which is your way of insulting someone again.
Yeah.
But because of my superpower under the yellow sun, being from Krypton, my superpower made it so I didn't recognize him. So my reaction was, oh, no problem. What did you say? Because I assumed he'd bumped into me in the hall. I did not know we had just been on camera together and that he had devastated me. I did not recognize him. And Glenn said to me, that's the judge. And I went, fine. I know. Yeah, thanks. And he was expecting me to come back to comfort me after he devastated me.
Yeah.
And I didn't recognize him, which I wish I'd done on purpose.
Yeah.
But it was pretty great to do it completely
That's
accidentally. Totally oblivious.
No,
Part,
comedically.
part of the benefit of being on Romania's Got Talent is like,
Yeah.
I have no idea what they're saying. Same thing with France Got Talent. You say what you want, and I smile and say thank you. Great, thanks, perfect. Yeah, of course. Bye.
I want adorable. I wish we could. There's a parallel universe where there's adorable foreign Godot doing the same thing here in the States.
Oh, yeah.
Which I really love. I'd love to see you not understanding English and just smiling along.
Remember during Fool Us, we had the Japanese guy
Yes.
and the translator.
Yes.
And I did this incredibly long thing, which I do.
Yeah.
I do this long critique of the act, really long. And I finished. And then the translator on stage went as long as I did. Now, we assume they'd memorized everything I said and translated it. We don't know that.
Yeah.
But the translator got this huge
round of applause.
Huge round of applause for you remembered the nonsense the asshole said. Pretty good. And we also had a couple people that had translators.
Yeah.
And it was it's pretty great because we had this season to Fool Us. We have gone to the far corners of the earth.
Yes.
And there's some really good acts. I thought it was the best acts this year we've had.
Yeah, I think for a variety of reasons, but I think it's going to be one of the strongest seasons.
Now, speaking of translations,
Yeah.
and speaking of, when did you first have the inkling you wanted to work on Magic for Reals?
We've talked on the show about having, you were accomplishing a lot of little private goals kind of thing, and you had a conversation with my dad a while ago where you told me like what trick to start learning, and my dad was like, "Fucking Penn just told you to start working on a magic trick, fucking work on it," and that's when I knew I wanted to at least just as a hobby learn how to do.
And how old were you then?
38.
38. That is, to everybody,
Yeah.
much too late to start a new endeavor.
Yes.
At 38, you don't start.
Yeah.
My mother died when I was 45.
Yeah.
Shortly before that, we were working Sin City Spectacular, and I became one of the 3 people to have played bass with Tommy Smothers playing guitar. Those 3 people are Dickie Smothers, Jack Benny, Penn. So I had to learn to play Jimmy Crack Corn, and I had to learn on upright bass. So I had Dickie Smothers, upright bass, and Maury Loudon, the best bass player in Vegas at the time. He's left now. He's in New York doing session stuff. Great bass player. He was in our band, the Seven Deadly Sins band for Sin City Spectacular. And he taught me to play the G and the C for Jimmy Crack Corn. No learning really at all. Really a 30-minute lesson, probably an hour and a half of practice. And I know painters who enjoy the smell of the paint, the texture of the paint. Outside of the artistic thing they finish, they enjoy, there's a sensual quality to what they're working with. And you know that with people who are really good at all sorts of things. When you talk to Billy Gibbons, he enjoys touching a guitar. He enjoys that. From the moment he touched a guitar, he felt that. I never felt that with anything. Juggling, I never felt an affinity to the props. Closest I came to was I really enjoyed the keyboard of my first typewriter. And I enjoyed the keyboard of my computer. That's the closest I've come to it, but I never felt it. So I played electric bass, I played drums, played a little piano, took guitar lessons, and never felt that at all. And then when I held Dickie Smothers' bass, I felt this real affinity. I liked the way the sound felt through my body. I liked the way it felt on my fingers, even though it hurt. I just liked the size of it, the feel of it. I felt I could feel it a little more. And shortly after that, someone was selling an upright bass, not a fancy one, but like a K plywood bass from the 50s. And Dr. Stockdale, who did the music for Sin City Spectacular, also did the music for Bullshit, good friend of mine, called up and said, they're selling a really nice bass. It's not too much money. You can afford it. if you buy this bass, the chances that you'll learn to play it are almost zero. If you don't buy this bass, the chances are zero. And I went, I don't have time. I can't learn to. No, I'm going to buy it. So I bought the bass, had it in my house at the Slammer for about 2 years. Then my mom died. When my mom died, we've covered this many times on the show. I'm a mama's boy. She died when I was 45, and she was 90, and she was 45 when I was born. So half of our lives had overlapped, and I was going off into a time without my mom. And I found that I couldn't write. I didn't want to type or write. I found I didn't want to hang out with friends very much. And I really didn't feel like working on the Penn and Teller show. I did card tricks a while, and I was crying most of the day. It was a hard grieving process. And I pulled out the bass. And for some reason, everything else I had learned in my life, at the time I started learning it, I didn't know I wasn't going to be the best in the world, right?
Sure.
When you started juggling, you were young enough, you didn't know you weren't going to be the best.
Every intention of it, yeah.
You know now,
Right.
but you didn't know then. And when you started comedy, you didn't know you weren't going to be the best.
Right.
Everything I'd
He's
started.
the 12th ranked clown on
Yeah.
Rock.com.
Exactly.
I'm moving up.
Which is not one.
Which is not one.
Wayne Gacy was number one. It's going to be hard to beat him.
I have faith in you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Just clean off the shoes. Clean off the shoes. So it felt important to me, and I've never been able to explain this, although I've told the story a lot. It felt important to me that I start something that I couldn't be the best at. There was something about that made it personal and made it honest. If I was going to learn bass, I was going to learn just for myself. So I called up Maury, and he's not a bass teacher. He's too good to be a bass teacher. But I asked him, and as a friend, he made a deal and he said, what do you want to learn on bass? And I said, imagine I'm 12 years old, starting bass student, and you're going to teach me everything. Don't make special. And for some reason, having to do with my mother's death, having to do with being 45 and a change in my life, I practiced a crazy amount. I practiced till my fingers bled all the time. I practiced more than I should have. And always through these tears, and completely right, with no personality. It wasn't like, how can me as Penn play this bass? You know, what can I use to fix this in my life?
Right. No intention of putting it into your show.
No intention.
Just learning it for yourself.
I want to do it right. I want to do this right. And Maury worked with me. And there was no therapy involved. There was no discussion of why I'm doing this. I wasn't crying in front of Maury or anything. I was just practicing. And I practice and would say to people, you know, I'm never going to play. I'm never going to play in public. This won't be part of my career. And then there was a study that I read, a serious study that said, I've never been very good at intonation. My pitch has never been very good. And there was a study that I read, reputable, you know, New York Times, that said that they haven't been able to improve people's intonation and pitch after the age of 40. It was just stated. They'd done this study. And I told Maury, you know, maybe my pitch won't get better. And Maury said, we'll get it better. You know, just kind of shrugged and said, you'll get your intonation will be better.
That man said, fuck science.
Fuck science. And I started playing. Now, so that's 18 years ago. And then shortly after that, I also had always wanted to know about jazz. And I'd read many places and been told by people that you weren't going to really deeply understand jazz unless you played it. Let me put this another way. That was a shortcut to understanding it, to play it. Mm-hmm. And bass is, upright bass is a difficult instrument. You have the intonation problems and you have strength problems. And you have physical problems. I can't use these two fingers to go through clear at the airport. It won't pick up my fingerprints.
Okay.
I can't touch my touchscreen with these two fingers because they're so deeply calloused. And, you know, you do all sorts of damage to yourself playing the bass. And then I met Jonesy. and I made this deal with Jonesy that he could have a job playing before our show live. But the bad news was he had to have me play with him, which is a nightmare. You know, you don't want McEnroe to play tennis with someone who's just starting out.
Yeah.
That is not fair to him. It's not fair to the world. It's a gross, inconsiderate waste of natural resources. Jonesy should be playing with the best bass player possible.
Yeah.
And Jonesy started playing with me every night. I'd play the bass. And Jonesy, I expected that every night would be a master class. That after the show, I'd go back into the monkey room, and Jonesy would talk to me. You know, watch your time on this. You know, you watch your intonation here when you go up the neck. Maybe you should play a little something other than more of a passing tone going to the root. I thought there would be intellectual discussion. I think, and this is probably not literally true, but I will say I do not remember Jonesy ever saying one word about my playing. But what I've always been envious of, when I listen to music, I loved listening to Frank Zappa. I love listening to Bob Dylan. There was a literary quality to their work, an intellectual quality to their work that I could understand. I could understand 20th century classical. You read about Stockhausen, Schoenberg, Berg. There's a theory behind the music that I can then interpret. The things I have most trouble with are the Rolling Stones, who are doing things that are nonverbal, essentially. I mean, there's some nice lyrics, but that's not what they're doing. And Miles Davis, inventing whole kinds of music that don't have, you can explain modal jazz to me and I can take notes on it and understand it, but I couldn't feel it. And Jonesy then, for the past 17 years, 16 years, has been teaching me without talking to me. Like his left hand hits the notes that I should be hitting. Also, I guess this was verbal. A couple times he would count me in, and then I would start playing, and Jonesy would go, or that tempo too. That'd be fine. Now, the fabulous thing for the person who's not good, for the person who is good, there's no upside. For the person who's not good, playing with Jonesy is like having a traffic accident with a police car. There's no question whose fault
Yeah,
it is.
it's pretty sure it's you.
Right? So if anything would sound, if I was at someone at my level, something sounds not right, we have to first determine whose fault it is. That step is gone. Just going to learn what my, that's my fault. Why couldn't that sound better? And then I played and I practiced and I studied. And I played and I practiced and I studied. And I did the most important thing in practice, which is now we still got John Henney here, who's a music educator and knows this stuff. I believe that playing when you don't feel like it is when you make the biggest strides. I would go out to do the pre-show, too tired, not wanting to play music, in a really, really bad mood, and I would find some way to get through the set. And the next day, I felt like I had made more improvements than I had the times I feel like really playing. Now, when you're just practicing and you don't have any sort of gig, you don't ever play when you don't feel like it. You know, you wait, I don't feel like it now, I'll wait 10 minutes. 10 minutes, I feel a little more like it. Playing when you don't feel like it and trying to find something, or playing when you're completely exhausted.
Right.
And you have to, certain barriers break down, certain filters go away, and you're just playing. And my intonation improved tremendously. And about 5 years ago, I started saying to Jonesy and anybody else that asked me that I'd actually gotten to be a better bass player than I ever expected to be. And I was starting to be told, you could play any of the, when Tony Bennett comes into town, you could actually play that. You could read the music and play that. You could do that. And I started getting people like from Berklee School of Music would say afterwards, your time is really good. You have really tight time. You're really in place. That's really good. Boom, boom, boom. And, because Jonesy is a nut about time. And it finally got there. And then Jonesy, who puts out a CD every couple of years, has always been with, like Jeff Hamilton on drums, like the best cats anywhere playing. Jonesy finally said to me 2 years ago, I'd like my next CD to be with you, which is a sentence I never thought he would say. I never thought he would say, and also knew that it wouldn't be. We did a CD earlier just to sell in the lobby, just for a joke, but I knew he wouldn't do it for charitable reasons. He's not going to do this to make me feel good because he's got a record label.
It's Jonesy.
Yeah, exactly.
Record deal my butt.
So we recorded it at the theater.
And it should be noted for Jonesy, it actually, because the jazz community and like the art communities can be fickle, particularly people who thrive in the jazz community. It's a risk for him. It's not. I think a lot of people listening would be like, "Duh, of course you want to ask Penn Jillette to do a jazz CD," and it's his boss, and he's a celebrity, and blah blah blah. But for his, Jonesy has some real street cred in the jazz world.
Yes, complete street cred.
And it was a risk to go to you and say, "Let's put out a CD."
Yes, it's a big risk for him. It's no risk for me.
Right.
And so we're now playing. We'll be playing Saturday at the Green Mill in Chicago.
That's crazy.
I'm going to just play a couple songs. Just a couple songs. I don't want to do the whole gig. But I'll play a couple songs. We're doing a
But
gig.
did you ever think you'd ever play the Green Mill?
Green Mill.
We're doing
Come on.
We're doing
Say it out loud again. You're playing the Green Mill.
Playing the Green Mill, and we're doing a gig in New York. For Piano Jazz, the PBS show,
Okay.
the NPR show, and which is an interview, but also playing.
Yeah.
And I'm actually, playing bass. And the record's come out. It's called The Show Before the Show.
Yeah.
And you can go to Jones Jazz, jonesjazz.com, and you can buy it on Amazon. It's sold out the first day on Amazon with pre-sales. We are selling, it's printed in vinyl.
Yeah.
We have a vinyl, which is only available at our show. The CD is available on Amazon or jonesjazz.com. And it was pretty exciting. I typed in to my iTunes, I typed in, my name and bass, and it pops up, and there it is. And it's actually on the jazz charts moving up crazy quickly. And the reviews have come out, and I don't read anything with my name in it, so I don't know. But Jonesy said the reviews are really, really good.
Yes.
And I said, well, they're really good for you, and the bass player is serviceable. And he said, no, they're commenting on your solos and your solid time and the sound of your bass and the way you play. And I said, wow. So really, what I want to say to people is, if I had taken up something at the age of 45 years old and gotten really good in 2 or 3 years, who cares? The fact that I started at 45 and spent 18 years, I'm now 63, and I can actually do something.
Finally got a job.
Could do something I couldn't do. So you're starting magic at 38.
Yep.
38
Well, I
years
started
old.
performing at 39. I got the idea at 38. I started performing at 39.
Right. So 38 is when you count it.
Yeah.
When your fingers started bleeding.
Yeah.
And you're working through. And, you could actually be a good magician.
Well, and like you talked about with I know I'm not going into trying to reinvent anything, and even when I get even when I start, but I've become obsessed. So I'm buying little trinkets and little decks all the time and little tricks that I see if I can scale or whatever. I'm texting RJ, my director, almost, I think probably every other day with either, we've been working this trick back and forth over text for like 3 weeks.
And you've also done the same kind of cheating that I've done.
100%.
You've used your scoops and all of that to be opening for Biff.
Yes.
So you're going out. Where are you playing next?
So April 13th, I go to Niagara. April 14th, I'm playing at Foxwoods, and it's going to be
amazing.
That's going to be
great.
like a home gig.
That's a great spot.
Yeah,
Right.
but I'm playing Foxwoods, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And
That's like 1,000 people.
and yeah,
Big, cool room.
and a good amount of them are going to be like a lot of family and stuff are coming to see me. And
That's
gig.
fabulous.
Yeah.
Did you
Have you
not
opened-
say falls so that we wouldn't all call and respond to you?
Because it's Seneca Niagara is in New York, I think. It's not actually I don't know if it's at the falls or not.
And what falls?
Niagara.
We're all ready. If you say it, we're ready.
Niagara
No, that's fine.
Falls.
Slowly I turned, step by step, inch by inch.
Rush, I grab it.
And I grabbed him by the neck.
I just want to tell you something.
And then April
Go ahead.
19th through my April 19th through the 20th, I'm playing Portland as well in Portland. So
That's up near Idaho.
yeah, it's right at Mirror Idaho. If you go to mindnoodler.com, all the dates are
Mindnoodler.
mindnoodler.com. Yeah.
Well,
all the dates are there.
yeah, it'd be really interesting to see how good you get.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm
Is this your first time? Is this first time opening for Piff? Because I worked for Piff for a year.
Yes.
Piff's crowd is very interactive,
Yep.
which is great. You're going to love it.
Yeah, I did.
They are a chatty bunch.
I-
They are happy to talk to you about what you're doing right or wrong right then and there. And it's great. You're going to have a blast.
I am. I opened for him in Indianapolis already for 4 shows.
Did you discover that?
Yeah, but that's the thing is like when it comes to interaction,
Right.
and handling hecklers and dialogue,
It's great.
I would say your major problem is making the tricks work.
correct. That's the part, like making sure to go over my stuff to make sure it's there, or knowing that there's an amount of time I need to dedicate to setting up,
Packing.
and knowing what that amount of time is. These are the things I need to work on.
Checklists
Yeah.
are your friends, Mike.
Checklists right
You
now are
need
not my
checklists.
friends, but yes,
They
should
should be your friends.
Checklists should be everything. Checklists and pictures.
Yeah.
Take a picture of everything that's set up just the way
What
it
is
is.
the prop table supposed to look
that's
like?
a good idea. That's
Yeah.
a good idea.
Also, because what's going to happen is
Check
one
a
of
picture of your
those.
suitcase.
Yep.
Look at the picture and go, oh, what's that space for?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot that.
That's definitely something I need to start doing.
People are going to kick it over 30 seconds before you go on.
Oh, that stuff I don't.
Just be aware. You know what I mean? This is all Variety Act secrets, inside
Yeah.
tips.
No, I mean I've messed up tricks even, and
Yeah.
I messed up like the finale trick that I did in Louisville, my show in Louisville, and I had SJ, my friend's wife, helping me out, and she's like, I've done magic assistants before, and usually when that happens, they're back here cursing and throwing a fit, and I said I have failed so often on stage. I have not.
I have a show in Louisville next week, actually.
Louisville?
Louisville. Going to one of the Louisville Performing Arts Centers.
Lance Burton?
The Lance Burton is going to do a show in Louisville.
Wow.
So come on by and say hi.
And what's
Saturday night.
What's Lance doing? Is he pulling stuff out of the warehouse, or
I don't know.
is he going to be sucker egg to
It's
silk?
going to be a surprise for you and me. I can't wait to see it.
And who else is on the bill?
Cigarettes and pool.
Fielding West is going to be there, and an autistic magician, Cody. I don't remember Cody's last name.
One of the many autistic magicians.
Clark, I think.
Cody Clark. Yeah, Cody Clark is going to be on the show, and I've met Cody and love
I
talking
met Cody.
with him. Yeah,
He's great,
Cody's actually doing a show with us. So
Oh, that's great.
I had an awkward interaction doing pre-interview on Fool Us with someone on the spectrum, and I didn't know they were on the spectrum. And I went to do pre-interview where I had my little sheet of facts and just like, hey, we're going to figure out how we're going to talk to Allison. Have to do your trick. You're going to have a conversation with her. And just didn't look up. Just sat there coloring, putting black marker on his shoes, just constantly black markering the bottom of his shoes to make his shoes look nice for television. And then I asked him another question, and he kind of went like, and just markered away his shoes. And then I sat there just silently, hoping the awkwardness would maybe ring a bell. As I sat there standing in front of him, using no words for about 30 seconds, no dialogue. Then he finally looks up at me in the eyes and goes, "I'm going to need a belt." And he is wearing pants with no belt, and that was his only concern for me. And I was like, "All right, why don't I try to find you a belt?" Just walked
there you go. Yep.
But yeah. No. The interesting thing is, I don't think I'm going to be the greatest magician, nor do I want to be. But I love, part of why I love getting the podcasting from improvising is, in my 20s, trying to be brilliant and throwing it all away was exciting. When you do your 30s and head into your 40s, it's not as exciting to have no evidence.
I was
work.
so funny last night.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Exactly. Exactly.
Funniest I've ever been.
Yeah,
Fantastic,
and so
man.
now
That
having
must be great for you.
podcasts to point to as a body of work, it's nice. It's a nice feeling, and then so now adding this comedy stuff to magic stuff, it's really nice to have things I do. or to see shows that I never would have been able to go near, that now I can go near those shows.
It is amazing. It is amazing that you can learn something as an adult.
Yeah.
And I think that we have, I was going to say a culture, but I think that's bullshit. We just decide, we've got words like genius, which is just a word that lazy people use as an excuse.
Yeah.
You say Bob Dylan's a genius. You don't mention the notebooks he fills up, the amount of work he does.
Right.
And we also feel like, oh, so-and-so started violin when they were 8, and of course they're that good, and I can't do that. And it's pretty powerful to actually learn something, as an adult. And you learn differently as you're an adult, and I think you're a little bit more grateful. But as I've said before, I do not read reviews. If you want to see the reviews that we had of Show Before the Show by Mike Jones and Penn Jillette, go to jonesjazz.com. But I have asked.
I have 2 reviews.
Yeah.
We have brought reviews with us.
We have one review that was written in Greece,
Yes?
in Greek, that Jonesy put through Google Translate. And we have another review that was written in Japanese that Jonesy put through Google Translate. Now, we are not making fun of the culture because I'm sure the review is written perfectly.
Right.
We are making fun of Google Translate.
Yes.
Who wants to go
Can
first?
I go first?
Okay. This is Michael Goudreau with the Greek review of Show Before the Show by Mike Jones and Penn Jillette, the CD that just came out.
Well, let me start off with saying the title of the show is "The Body Before the Body."
Okay.
With Mike Jones and Penn Jillette.
Okay. And why don't you read the translation from the Greek of our CD?
Yes, the new album of pianist Mike Jones, also featured in his cover design by David Silverman of The Simpsons, is a fact. As we had noted in our previous Discocrats, Mike Jones is a prancing pianist with good studies at Berkeley, with an appeal to bebop before jazz, who found work, let's say so, in the floating jazz festivals of SS Norway and Queen Elizabeth II, and basically in Las Vegas casinos and music halls where he named himself. Somewhere in Sin City, Penn and Teller entertained Jones in duo with bassist Penn Jillette, opening up. Penn and Teller's body giving him the necessary boost to put down the soundtracks of The Plans. For some of these designs by Mike Jones, we have already written. When one is still in the and preparing to sail, March 16th, tomorrow, live in the Las Vegas Penn and Teller are recorded on this CD titled The Show Before the Show. Well, there we go. We got it. Mike Jones, piano, and Penn Jillette, bass, a duo who has been back, and with others, not only in the album, but also in the discography. Musically upbeat, who also knows the demands of a hall, a city hall of that particular city, and who do everything in terms of play and repertoire to conquer it. Their cooperation is perfect. Let's say it. Even when piano, bass plays, both rhythmically, the clarity and clarity of the play is admirable in each of the well-known, generally, tracks that are here attributed. Known because Jones and Jillette are, above all, entertaining, a role they know, apparently, at its end, having the way to always extend it to its finest extremes. Just listening to some of the Brazilian hymns, Corcovado and Manha de Carnaval, is enough to appreciate the efforts of Jones and Jillette. More when perfection touches even more of its standards, compositions by Gershwin, Rodgers, and Hart, etc.
Run out and buy that.
That's, yeah.
JonesJazz.com.
The body before the body.
The body before the body. Now,
Here's what they're thinking in Japan.
what are they thinking in Japan?
Dynamic with funky bappish and dynamic elements, incorporating everything in every corner of the way. The mouth phrasing is vividly, stingying clearly, and Red Garland and Wynton Kelly making use of the lightened chilling block code. Indeed, it was relaxing approach to approaching the approach of a windy approach, which is truly refined and ripe with a ripe taste. It is quite natural and intuitive, but casually lined firmly with crafting skillful, high technique firmly and thoroughly. The first time for a storyteller, it is super delicious and persuasive. Various works by Apri and Chiaroscuro is a popular magician combination for many years. Penn Frazier, two people, Gillette and Raymond Joseph Teller, served as the musical director of the show and the piano performance and the undercard. By the show, and the present board contains a pattern of live show on the current board. Organization is duo with Penn Gillette, who is also one of the Penn and Teller bassists. The pleasure of crisp and the flowing well together with salt plum. The core of the body is thick and hard feeling. The clear touch piano. The beautiful, the blues' colorful actions are also intertwined as it is. Very entertaining, clear mochi mulatto melon, wee spinning dick, swinging play. Happily making...
I hear that again. I hear the swinging dick.
Yeah, very entertaining, clear mochi mulatto melon, wee spinning dick, swinging play.
Wee spinning dick, swinging play.
Happily making a festive flowing anything. A heavy and agile bass stance that bounces off strongly with a sense of driving feeling. Bathed in astringent colors. Clear through the whole story contents of thought wrapped comfortably into an open, uprising feeling and a gentle heart. Warming personality. Good point for a singing voice and swing feeling.
Those are the two reviews
Those are great.
we've
Those are
chosen
fine
to
reviews.
read.
If that doesn't make you want to run and buy the album, I know what will.
Wee spinning dick, spinning play.
Yeah.
We swinging.
Name
no,
another album you have that has wee spinning dick quality to it. Name it.
say that again. We
Very entertaining, clear, mochi, mulatto, melon, wee spinning dick, swinging play.
spinning dick, swinging play.
Yeah.
If Jonesy and I
Do a second
another
album.
record,
There it is.
we spinning dick, swinging play. should be the title.
Live from Japan.
So I will sit in Saturday at the Green Mill.
The Green Mill.
I'm going to go see
Unbelievable.
Tony Fitzpatrick.
Is this the most brilliant thing Google has ever done?
I think so.
Is pretending they don't know how to translate languages so that every talk show on earth will do a segment.
That's true, isn't it? So my friend Tony Fitzpatrick,
Yeah.
Yay.
He's in
Say
the-
hi to Tony for us.
and I got reprimanded by him. I said, "Can we do a podcast together?" He has a podcast with his son Max. And I said, "We'll do a podcast and play it on here and play it on yours. We'll do that. Can we do that Friday or Saturday?" He said, "Well, not Saturday because I'm going to the march." I wrote back, "March?" Question mark.
Oh.
Turns out there's a gun control march that everybody knows about in Chicago on
I
Saturday.
was saying, in Chicago, of all places,
Yeah, they know about that. They know about that march. So that's maybe he'll take me to the. There is a march in Chicago.
you just record on the way. Just be like, one doesn't rule out the other, Tony. You can relax. I'm just going to bring my...
So Saturday evening from 8 to midnight at the Green Mill. Sometime in there, I will play a couple of songs.
So people in Chicago can see you. People in Louisville can come see me. Saturday night.
Near Idaho.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not going anywhere until April 13th. So
All right.
Just I guess you go come see Opium. The previews of Opium are happening at the old...
Now, you're not in that show.
No,
Not in it at all.
not in it. Not in it at all.
But where is Opium?
It's at the Cosmopolitan,
Cosmo?
Cosmo, which they hate you saying.
I know. Which may have something to do with why I said it.
Like when you called Discovery Channel disco in all your emails.
Yeah, all of them. The Disco Channel. They didn't like that one bit. But fortunately, Cosmo is not employing me.
No, that's right. Absolutely. Who cares? But yeah, it's at the venue next to the old Rose Rabbit Lie Theater there.
Next to it, not in it.
Well, it's in that same vicinity, but there's a cabaret theater in the back. We're at the Cabaret.
There's a hamburger place there.
By Cabaret Theater, I mean it's a $4 million stage. All kinds of state-of-the-art lighting and crazy stage arrangements, but it's a cabaret style.
Okay. And how many people can go see it?
I think it holds about 300.
And there's a lot of variety acts, right?
Yeah, there's variety acts in it. There's a lot of like comedy stuff in it. I'm trying to like not get in trouble. It's a crazy show. It definitely would be a different. It's a different, very different than a typical variety show. It's very different than an episode.
Are you there every night?
Yep.
Are there bats in the show?
There's gonna be. That's the best thing I've ever heard.
And if somebody who is a fan of the podcast goes to see that, would they be able to find Matt Donnelly?
Yeah, just yell salt pork. I'll find you.
Good.
Yeah,
That works.
yeah. But yeah, it's a small theater. You'll find me. It's easy.
Good.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying working on it?
I love it. I think I've always. I usually get brought in like at this phase now of a show. And
Once it's already in trouble and everybody's panic stricken, we got to get the show up,
and then all of a
it's
sudden
time
I
to
come
go.
in, you read a joke, right? So I'm very excited to have been a part of the whole creation process. If you believe me, that I might have been a part of it. I don't know how these non-disclosure agreements work, but I'm very happy.
It's great when you're working on a show and don't have to do it.
Yes, that
You
part
know what I mean?
I do like
that is really fun.
Yeah.
I don't find that fun.
You really?
No. I once in my life directed a thing telling I did call Mrs. Lonsberry's Seance of Horror.
Yeah.
And first of all, I hate directing. I think directing's for chumps and losers.
I didn't say I like the directing. I like the writing part and not having to build it.
Yeah. And not having to build it.
I
Really
like when someone has like they try something and they kind of go like, oh, and you go, actually, you did more than you think.
Right.
You actually did this, so why don't you try it and now really amplify that choice you made, and all of a sudden they do it and it gets a big laugh.
See, my problem is I never have any sort of confidence that anything I'm saying might be right. I always go, yeah, that didn't seem that good, but maybe it's going to be. That's my reaction to everything.
You're right. You shouldn't be directing. You got that right. Congratulations. As an adult, you've learned something else.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way to.
And I think, I don't know if sometimes you have to spend time building up artists' confidence and you got to have some powwow sometimes. I imagine that's not really up your alley either.
Powwows, I'm not big on powwows. Here's the job I want.
Yeah.
I want to sulk, read the newspaper, then go on stage, do stuff, then go back to sulking and reading the newspaper.
Well, aside from for the going on stage part, you sound like a producer.
I do produce.
Yeah, there you go.
Skill he's got.
But I'm going to find that out because we were working with the Goes Wrong boys.
Yeah.
The guys who did the play that goes wrong. I just got the first script. We did 2 weeks here working. Now we got the script they've been working on for weeks.
Yeah.
And man, those guys can write. I guess that's not a surprise.
Right.
They've got hit shows everywhere, but it's really good.
Yeah.
It's really a blast to work with them, and I'm enjoying that too. I'm enjoying that very much.
Yeah.
I'm not directing that. I never mind the writing part. It's the directing part I don't like. And so tell us a couple of the variety acts that are in the show.
I definitely can't do that.
You can't do that?
No.
Why?
I don't know, except that I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about those things.
I see.
There's definitely variety acts in it.
You went very Jersey De Niro talk about those things.
Get out of my face, Gillette! There's some crazy ass variety acts in it. Really funny. It's a comedy. Everything's very funny, and it's very immediate. There's live band stuff in it.
Hey, why don't you tell us about that thing you did with Jewel?
Hey, changing the subject.
We talked about that already.
I don't think we talked about it since it happened. We talked about it before it happened, but have we talked about it since
You
it
weren't in
happened?
the room.
Oh, okay. I wasn't here.
Oh, I talked about with Piff for a long time.
Ah, okay.
Changing the subject completely. I like shows with tits in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does this show have tits? Lots.
He's not allowed to say. But his mime is
There's
fantastic.
3 tits in it. So there's a showgirl and a Supreme Court justice. Is that the big surprise?
I don't want to say, but it rhymes with Schmoosh Schmader Schminsberg is in the show.
And she's topless.
Yeah, we wouldn't put her in otherwise.
Fabulous.
How do you think she got the gig?
This is Vegas.
Yeah. Do what you do.
You come to work, you come to work.
Okay. But and how long are you going to be working it at the?
It show opens April 8th.
Uh-huh.
And I am, so I'll be there.
April 9th, you're done?
Possibly after this podcast. No, and then there's a good possibility I'll be staying on in some capacity.
So you're working a lot.
Yeah, I have what I call great problems to have.
And is Sarah working on a Crazy Ex-Girlfriend still a lot?
She's still doing that. She's going to LA a lot, and then there's there's another show about to open in town that it's looking very like she's in that as well.
Which you can't talk about.
Right.
Some people wonder why shows fail in Vegas.
Yeah.
One of the reasons might be that no one's allowed to talk about them.
I completely agree.
I
think that, you trust someone to, I guess, yeah, I could say, the wrong thing that makes no one curious to go see it, and that would be the mistake they're trying to curtail. But I think talking to 300,000 people about a show is a good idea.
Yeah. I think so, too.
If we can get just 1% of those people in.
We all know my position on keeping information quiet.
I'll say, in this summer there'll be a brand new musical in town, and everyone will know about that musical, and she is in it.
Well, I had a dream, and during my dream, which I loved, I was explaining how a magic trick is done on the podcast. One we were working on.
Yeah.
Like I'd done several times. And Teller came in, and he was very, very angry at me. And he said, I can't believe you're doing this. I can't believe you're giving this away. And I said what I think is the greatest argument ever. I said, Teller, it's a dream. And then I was set for lucid dreaming.
Almost. Because you're still talking to Teller as if Teller were there.
Oh, that's right. So Teller, it's a dream.
But that version, whatever that percentage of lucid is a good one.
Yeah, it's pretty good. 70,
I'd rather
70.
try to get to that percentage of lucid dreaming than the real one. Than full lucid dreaming.
It's pretty good. Pretty good. Teller, it's a dream. Shut him up. Worked very well. Anything else we got to say coming up?
I'm just trying to get some wee spinning dick quality in the show I'm working on. That's all I know.
Big show, Louisville, Saturday, and you're at the Green Mill.
Yeah,
so it's a big Saturday.
Big Saturday.
What's the date? Saturday,
We did a really nice thing. Lawrence Krauss,
24th.
His mom, was coming to Vegas, and his mom had never seen the atheist card trick that we wrote with Lawrence.
Oh yeah.
Last time she was in town, he brought her to the show, and he take her to the Museum of Sex. He took her to Chippendales. His mother's in her 90s, and is quite the pistol.
Oh, I love that.
So we were working so hard on Fool Us.
Yeah.
And we had to get all the performances in possible. But I said to Teller and to the crew, we got to do atheist card trick for Lawrence's mom. So one night we put that bit together, which is part of our road show, but not part of the show here.
Yeah.
And did it for Lawrence Krauss and his mom. And she was thrilled, and he was thrilled, and it was great. It was sloppy.
Yeah.
We weren't particularly good, and that made it a little bit better,
Yeah.
And we told the audience why we were doing it. So it was very much not like Penn and Teller. We usually do a pretty tight show, but this was just for fun for Lawrence Krauss's mom. She was in town for her birthday, so it was good in every single way.
Yeah.
It was really, really, really great to do that for him. And I guess that covers it, right?
It's a really good point for a singing voice and swing feeling, Penn.
Oh, thank you. But I keep wanting to say swing and dick.
Spinning.
Wee spinning
Deck, swing and play.
Wee spinning dick. The whole thing is mochi mulatto melon wee spinning dick. Swinging play.
Wee spinning dick swinging play. Well, at least we have the title for the show this time.
It's already typed up, buddy.
That was Penn Sunday School.
That was Penn Sunday School.
Cha cha cha.
And to our listening
you become naked.
Nature sang and round us rang the music of the spheres.
There you go.
You killed him.
Your voice teacher's bright red. He is.
We are spinning, dick, swinging play. You know we love you.
I got a couple things I need to fix.
Okay. What are you gonna fix?
Let's take it off.